This is my pull-out kitchen. It slides out from the back of the van, gives me running water, gas, and a proper worktop, all in a tiny footprint. It took a lot of trial and error to build this, and in this series I'll show you exactly how I did it. From modding the van and building the frame to plumbing the water tank, installing gas and finishing it properly. But honestly, having something like this, pulling up somewhere like this, cooking a real meal, watching the sun go down, this is why I built it. If you're thinking about building your own van kitchen, or just curious about what goes into making one, this is for you. Right, so with the plan in mind to build a full pull-out kitchen at the back of the van, the first step was making room for it. That meant disconnecting the electrics so that I could bolt down the frame and remove the end of the bed to give the kitchen space to slide in and out. Okay, so I've got that top piece lifted out, and now I need to remove the 4 screws that are holding this bed frame down onto the van. These 2 are the easy ones, one there and one there. That one should be all right. This is going to be the tricky one because it's like right under, it's almost in line with this. I might have to unmount the DC-DC charger, which is going to be a real pain in the bum, but I think it's the best way. It still beats removing all of the electrics. Oh, well, that one isn't doing anything. That one's broken. That one's broken. Is this even attached at all? That's not good though. That has got to be to do with the sort of vibrations and sort of pressure under braking. So maybe I am going to have to bolt this down to the van after all, because that's 2 of the 4 bolts screws that snapped. Maybe in this case it's helped me because I might not need to faff around with the other ones. So looks as though this rear left one might be snapped as well, because I can lift that. How far in is it? It's like right here. Let's see if I can run a ruler through the gap. Yeah, that's snapped, and I bet the other one has as well. So the reason I can't move it, despite the screws having snapped, is that it's just the head that's come off, and the rest of the screw is actually going through the thickness of the base of the bed frame and into the slats below. And thinking about it, they're only going into like 9-12 mil of slats, which is really inadequate. So I really don't know why I didn't bolt it to start with, but I'm going to take this blade off of the hacksaw and hopefully use it. I think, is it under here? Oh no, we're able to, it's here. It's not coming, is it? I got no way of telling how far through I am either, which is not ideal. And I think the blade's pretty blunt. Ah, there we go. I'm through that one. These 2, they might be more difficult. I might just have to use brute force, because I can't get underneath them to put the hacksaw blade in, because the floor is raised up above the front of the bed. So that's not going to work, and I don't want to remove this floor. Right, let's give this a wiggle. Okay. You alright? Not bad, you?
On left.
There we go. It's loose. it's loose. So now I should, theoretically, I should be able to pull this forwards and gain access to the screws holding this panel in. And then I've got pocket hole screws either side, which means I'm probably going to have to remove the mount as well, of course. No, I don't, because I'm not removing this part. I'm only removing up to here. So fingers crossed, we're most of the way there in step one. We're going to get pretty tight with the wires, and I don't want to pull any out. But yeah, I've now revealed the screws on the underside, so I can take these out and then I should be able to remove this. So the line here that I drew previously, that was my best estimate as to where it was going to cut, but what it actually needs to do is line up with this piece of wood here. So I'm going to check that with square. I think it should be spot on, which it is. So now I've run out of hands. Transfer this line to the top. Oh, that's good. I've got a little extra room than I thought I did. Pop that down there. Use my foot again, and then there we go. That line is where I'm going to cut to. I think before I do anything else, I'm going to pick Dan's brain. I don't think he's got a signal. No, he's not picking up. Oh no, it's ringing now. He might have signal. Hello? You got a second? I think you've got bad signal, haven't you?
Call me in about 2 minutes.
Will do. Will do. Those are out. So the question is, do I cut down here and try and do it in situ, or do I take out the battery mount and then remove the pocket holes and take it out and get a really clean cut? I can't be bothered to take it out. I think I could clamp the track on somehow. Right, so my idea is use the track. It will have to be this way round. This will have to come out a smidge more. And then I can use the track clamp. I'll only be able to use one of them, I think. And you slide that through here like this, and you can actually take it beyond the end of the track. And then I can slide this down like so. And then clamp it up tight at the back. I'll obviously shift it along so it's square. Then I've got my square in here. And that needs to slide over like that. That wants to be exactly square. That's pretty good. And then I can use the track saw to cut down like this, right to the bottom, and then I'll have to finish the rest off with the handsaw. So we want a depth of 18 or 15, I think. That's 15. Where's my ruler gone? Yeah, that's 15mm ply, so I can set the depth here to just beyond 15, and we're good to go. Now I want to be careful here because there's not much supporting that anymore. So I may, in fact that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to push this back in place like that. And just drive the end screw back in. And then when I cut through there, it's not going to fall out. Now I can remove the track. So that's the problem with using a circular blade. We're down to where we want it to be here. If I take the camera around, it's not all the way down there. So that's easy enough to fix. I need to redo this. I need to redo the cut at double the depth so that I cut through the edge of that panel as well. Then I'll get a clean edge. So I've given the bed frame a good hoover. It's nice and clean now. And I think the next thing I'm going to do is measure out what size the dividers need to be. So depth wise, I think if I remember correctly, it was 626 mil deep. Yes, 626 deep. And then height wise, it's 344. Ow. 626 by 344. Write that down before I forget. And then when I've done that, I will need to make small cutouts in those dividers to accommodate the support pieces on the tops. But that's easy enough. So I'll do that next. I'm feeling pretty smug right now. I just had an excellent idea. This piece that I just cut out of here, well, that is the exact height that it needs to be, isn't it? So I just need to cut this one to 626, but at least it means I can save a bit of my new sheet. Right, let's go 626, 626 is right there. Here also, 626. Now I should have my track here somewhere. Right, and then to mark this one up, instead of measuring, I'm just going to push it into place up against here. Looks like I could take a nick off of this end, that's fine. I'm going to lift it up so it's against the upright, make sure it's held in place. And then I'm just going to mark off where the line is. There. And here. And then I'll do the same on the back. There, and I can't really get the pencil in there, but it will be 20 mil over, won't it? So I'll just mark off the thickness, or the width of that board, like so. And then here are my two marks. We've got one here, so we'll just go very slightly wider so we can guarantee that it fits. And then this one should be 20 mil over there. So again, we're just going to go very slightly further over, like this. That's our first cutout. Right, I'm pretty much done for the evening. I need to knock it on the head. It's 7:20. But before I can finish, I have got a nip to Screwfix to buy some stainless M8 bolts because, of course, I need to fix it down properly. It was a bit of an annoying job, this, but I'm glad I had to do it because I would never have realised that the bed was sort of sat dangerously in the back of the van. So I'm going to get it bolted on. I'll film that, show you, and then we can move on from there. Day 2, and I'm ready to drop the wheel and get this bolted down. I've got it. It's such a stupid design. Right, there were two things I wanted to check before I start drilling any holes, and those were, firstly, I needed to make sure that the bed frame is pushed all the way up against the floor in the front half of the van, and that ensures that it sits square with the van. And the other thing I needed to check was the side-to-side placement, and I've just tweaked it so that the two parts of the bed line up nicely here. So I think the best approach is to, so I need them the right distance in, so I want to drill down from the top, but I need to look under the van first and make sure there's no fuel lines or anything that I'm going to drill through. So I need to make sure I've got a nice space, and then I can drill from the top, and then once I've got one hole I can measure from underneath and space them correctly. So by looking from above, this is where I want to drill through, and beneath it I'm looking for this valley. So when I come underneath the van, I need to be looking for one of the bits that protrudes down towards the floor, and that would be this one here. So maybe I do drill from underneath. See, if I drill from underneath I might not be the right distance back, but if I drill the correct distance back, and that might be in here or in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get a bit of wood and place it against the back bumper, make sure it's mostly upright. Then I can take a tape measure and go, looks like we want to be 265 millimeters in from the edge. If I get underneath 265 millimeters, right, that's not far back enough. So I need to be going back. Okay, no, that's useful enough, isn't it? That information tells me that I need to be further back. So if I drill it towards this end, in the middle of here, then it will come out roughly in the right place, I think. So I want to be central to this valley, and I want to be sufficiently in from there. I'm going to go with here. This is my datum point. Right, we're through the metal. Now we should go through some wood. Yes, that definitely felt like wood. I can just find that hole, which is right by the 500, and measure back. So really I want to be drilling the next hole 400 towards the front from this hole. So I can just go under the van and measure and drill that pilot hole, can't I? Yeah, that's perfect. Look there. One hole there and one hole there. In fact, I'm interested to see how close to 400 that is. Oh, that is absolutely bang on. Right then. Chuck these out of the way. Just transfer this hole back to the edge here, and I want the second one to be about here, so it's just to the right of this, and then it's more central in this area. So now I need to take my tape measure and measure between here and here, which is 615. So I'll go back underneath now and then measure across from here over there and the same distance in, and then I'm good. Right, last pilot hole is going to be the easiest one, because since the hole is quite close to this divider panel, I'm going to drill through from the top. I've had a look underneath and it shows that there's nothing in the way. I mean, there's exhaust underneath, but that's like 200 mil lower, so that's fine. And I'm going to have to knock that sideways so that I can get the drill in. And we're through. Right, we're all drilled. Okay, so these are all drilled out now to 8mm. So I can put a washer. I've just spent the past half an hour hunting around for the stainless bolts I bought yesterday, but I found them. Man, it's so hot. I'm actually looking forward to lying under my van for once. It's so much cooler under there. Right, 1, 2, 3, I need 4 bolts. I've got the washers. So we're just gonna go washer, drop the bolt through, and do the same over here and everywhere else. Ba-dum-bum. Oh yeah, I think that one's still, I think this one's still 6mm. Forgot one. Yeah. In fact, I think I need to do this one from underneath. If I can, yeah. Excremente. Right. Perfect. And then is this one, that one is drilled, right. So we've got one more washer somewhere, there. We can just drop down. Done. Then before I tighten them up, I'm just going to just gently put one hand above so I can just get the lock nut onto the thread so it's not going to drop off. And I'll do that 4 more times and then we'll nip it up. Go, I haven't even got my drill attachment, so it's all going to be manual.
No.
Yes, it is going to be manual. Can you hold it? I'll start this one.
Nearest?
If you, in fact, that is a size up. That is a one size up. But if you swap it around.
What do you want?
No, I haven't got the other sockets. But if you pass me the spanner, because I haven't got the space down here, you should be able to. I think it's one size too large, but it should work.
But why don't you just use the right
Because I don't have it here.
Yeah, you do. It's here.
That is inappropriate. Even if it's true. Enjoy that.
Are we on the back one?
No, on the front one.
How tight do you want it?
Is that as tight? Can you not manage tighter? I'll do.
Can do, but that's about as tight as it needs to be. You don't want it too tight.
Then why did you ask me how tight I want it if you're just going to decide how tight I have it anyway?
You cracked the cover on the lens.
Well, you just looked at it, that's why. Yeah, no, yeah. Did you just call me a gibbon? Anytime today. Well, it's not. It's the quickest available way. You done? With the bed frame fixed firmly down in place, I moved on to cutting the plywood panels for the kitchen. Let's start day 3 with a disclaimer. I'm not very good at glue ups. They're stressful and they often go wrong and they don't look smooth, but I'm gonna give it my best shot of kind of telling you what's going on as I do it. And if not, we'll just have to cut to the finished product, I'm afraid. So off camera, in a test piece, I cut the grooves in the side pieces. Here's a test piece to show you roughly what I did. It's 15 millimeters wide and 7.5 mil deep, so half the thickness of the ply. And that's going to allow the base to be much stronger instead of screwing the base onto the underside. And here it is dry assembled at the moment. So we've got, this is the base here, and then we've got the two side pieces slotted in. So my task now is to glue this up, and then this here is the back of the drawer, and that is going to go on like so, but I can use it to keep everything square as well, which will be pretty handy. So I'm going to glue and then use the nail gun as clamps. And I've got some large clamps here if I feel the need for them. And I've also got a rubber mallet so that I can make sure everything's knocked in sufficiently once the glue's applied. However, before I start any of the gluing, I want to mark this, the back of the back piece. I want to mark 10 millimeters in so that when I glue it, I can ensure that this is in the correct place all the way along before I drive the nails in. And to do that, I use this little combi square. I'll set it to the 10mm depth of the grooves here and lock it off. Let's begin. We'll move this one out of the way. We don't need that. That comes in use afterwards. So we need to separate this now. I've also drawn several small lines along here so I can look and see that this is knocked in fully when I glue it up. That can also move out the way. Also make sure you got a cloth, a damp cloth ready so you can wipe any squeeze out away. I want to get some glue on all three edges really. Clogged! I swear to God I cleared this. See, this is why glue ups do not work for me. They never ever work. But there's nothing in there. Now I've broken the lead of my pencil. Right, that's somewhat clearer. Let's give that a go. That's better. Right, that's good. Let's make sure we got a good spread. Excellent. Now, I just realised something else I haven't done. I haven't loaded in the correct length nails just yet. There we go. Got those in. And I really should have a battery in there as well, ready to go. And I should have tested the depth, but I haven't done all that. And I'm already started, so kind of committed now because I've applied the glue. So let's see. It was this way around. I'm going to drop this in place. In fact, I want it, it's hard, once it's in, it's hard to line up. So I want to ensure that we are flush at the ends. I don't trust that that's fully pushed in all the way along, and I forgot to add the lines on this end like I said I was going to. See, I want to just demonstrate here how we're almost all the way in there. Then up here, there's quite a gap still. They're not pulling in effectively enough. And I'm worried that the nail gun won't have enough oomph to drive it in. So I want to use some clamps to pull it in. Two. 3. Oh god, careful. Last time I did this I broke a camera. Alright, that is clamped pretty hard. And that has to be pulled in. It's nicely flat. Yeah, that'll do. Before the glue completely sets, I think it'd be sensible to take the back panel and fix it on so I can hold everything square. Ignore this. I cut the channel too wide the first time around, and didn't want to use up my ply, so I just flipped it over so I can fill that in when I'm done. This isn't the side that I want to be the back because there's a ding at the bottom and I want to hide the ding. So I need to flip this over, but the whole thing's quite heavy. Yeah, okay. Dink, whack the ceiling. Nice, that's good. Now I've got the dung side up. Is that the past participle of ding? Dung. So now take this and plonk it on here, line them up. Yeah, so that's really going to pull it nice and square. It's good. Okay, glue's on. We need to pick one corner. And we'll go with this one. We want to get it perfectly lined up in that corner. Then I can use the nail gun there. Then we'll move to this back corner. So this end seems to be pretty square. This is the end that's not behaving. Back first, and this needs pulling in like so. Lovely. Here I'm just checking this along here to make sure that it's straight, which it is. That's perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to just transfer this line all the way along. This is on the back, so it doesn't matter that I'm doing it in pen, so that I get it right in the middle of the piece of ply. Excellent. Cool. That's been probably 40 minutes now. And I also added a line of nails on each side as well. So even when I remove these, they're technically still being clamped. Yeah, it's looking pretty sturdy. Just a couple I want to put in down at the bottom where I couldn't get to with the clamps. Shit. Okay, so this will slide in very easily at the moment because the sliders aren't in either side. The big question is, are the sliders going to fit? Have I made it small enough? One in there. I think that's fine. Now it's started raining really hard again. My next task is to decide exactly how I'm going to attach the heavy duty drawer runners to both the drawer and the bed frame. And you might recall, if you watched my video when I built the sliding bed frame, the caveat to the heavy duty drawer runners is that you can't separate them. So you can't fix one half onto the frame, one half onto the drawers, and then slide and click them in place. They're one sealed unit basically. So you've got to do a little bit more thinking. And I think the best way forward is to attach them to the drawer, because I can go and do that inside. I'll bolt them. Once they're on, I can use some spacers to raise the drawer to the correct height. At the moment it's too high. I've got it sat on these bits of 15mm ply. The only reason I've done that is that the bolts that are holding the bed frame down onto the chassis of the van protrude. So I just wanted to lift it high enough that it could slide in nicely. And that's pretty good timing as well, because guess what? It's raining again. I can't even complain though, because it's been forecast and the forecast was correct. And when I fix these onto the drawer, I don't want them sat right at the bottom, because if you have a look at the height of the mounting points on them, and if you remember also that the floor here, the base of the drawer is raised, so that means that the holes are going to be a bit too close to the bottom for my liking. So instead I'm going to use another bit of 15mm ply and just prop the drawer runner up by 15mm and then bolt it on, making sure that it's flush with the front of the unit. Right, this is quite tricky, but I'm going to give it a go. So as long as I've got this, the end of this, flush with the front of here, then I can, I don't have to have it fully extended, because all I need is for the first hole to be revealed, this one here. So I'm going to trace that and then see if I can get one more revealed. Okay, there's another. Oh, that's moved! I think I've had a better idea. If you look on the website, Eurofit Direct, then they've got a schematic which tells me exactly where all of the holes are. So according to here, the first hole, which is the ovular one, is 50.9, let's call that 51mm from the end. So in my case, this here is 51mm, the center is 51mm from here. So if we go by the schematic here, this here is representing the end, okay? And then that there, that's the first hole, the oval shaped one. So from the end to the center of that hole, according to this, is 50.9mm, we'll call it 51. And then we may as well go the next one here. So then from the center of that first hole we drill, it's 108mm to the next one. 63.5 to the next, and then 19.1 to the next. Again, I say we're not going to use all of these holes, because otherwise we'd use a lot of bolts unnecessarily. But by using this diagram, this schematic, I think I can quite nicely plot the holes out more accurately than by tracing. I'm going to go ahead and cover up the old marks with some tape, so as to avoid confusion. And we're going to go in 52mm from the base over here as well. And then I can use that and start marking off along here the different points that I want to put the holes at. So the first one, I've decided I'm going to put 70. The next one looks like it's at 222.5, 430.5. And then the last one, bang on 554. And before I drill those holes, I think it's really sensible to just now place the slider over the top and find that yes, that is correct. It's going to work. It's just easier to measure off of the schematic and then place the slider over the top and check it matches than to try and hold the slider in place whilst you trace. I'll now drill the holes, but they're not going to be particularly straight because I've got a wobbly chuck. But it should be alright. I can't put washers through the top because it makes it too tall for the sliders to run properly. So I can only drop one in through here. I've slid the drawer into the bed frame, and I think the last step in terms of installation is actually going to be far more straightforward than I imagined. As mentioned earlier, I need to prop up the drawer by about 8 millimeters so that it clears the bolts that hold the bed frame down onto the chassis. And considering that I had to measure 52 millimeters up from the bottom of the drawer runner on the drawer, then I just need to add 8 millimeters to that measurement. So in theory, I need to measure 60 millimeters from the base of the bed frame upwards, front and back, draw my line, and then use the schematic again in order to determine the spacings for the bolts. And then once I've done that and verified it's going to fit, I won't actually install the drawer yet, because I think it's going to be much easier, at least initially, to plan the layout with the drawer outside of the van, because here I'm at the mercy of the elements and I don't want to get wet. So I think that should be quite easy. Crack on with that and then we can move on to planning the layout. Well, I just drew my lines and then thought, oh, I need a straight edge. Grabbed the spirit level and I think it's like 58 mil. So all I need to do here is use a couple of mil spacers each end, or maybe 1 mil. Yeah, that takes me exactly to the height that I want. Let's give this a go. Let's put one hole in. I guess the problem is I can't line it up. It's difficult to line up. I don't know how I do this. Yeah, it's as I feared. It's going to be really difficult to attach the runners to the bed frame when it's already on the drawer. So I think what I can do is if I go and grab a 6mm bolt, I can try and push that through. And if it goes through beyond the plywood, it means that the hole lined up and I can go and drill the other holes. And then once I've done that, I'll detach the runner from the drawer, attach it to the frame, and then once it's on the frame I can attach the other side back to the drawer, because I can pull it out and have the space around the side. So I'll put my 8mm spacing in at the front. Give this a go now. There, that's gone through. I can actually see it. You can't, but I can. So I got a hole on each side, front and back, and I reckon I might be able to do the back first, because I can unlock the sides and extend them out like this, and then this should line up at some point with one of the holes that I've drilled. So there, that one. It doesn't. Interesting. I've managed to line this one up here with the hole that I drilled. Slide that in. So how's this going to work then? I guess what I need to do is pull this out all the way. So in order to do that, I need to put one in down here as well. So I think now I should be able to pull this out. There we go. Pull it out to full extension like so. Pop my spacers back underneath. Maneuver it to get the bolt through. And then such is the nature of projects like this. I've had to pull it all out again, and this is the reason why. So it wasn't opening smoothly and I couldn't work out why, and then I realized that this side, this runner was lower than that one, but only at the front. So I've taken the tray out and I've fixed the height so it's the same, they match each other. And one of the symptoms of that was that the base was catching here. It was like catching on the bolts. So despite having fixed this, I want to prevent this from happening. So I'm just going to use the track saw to take about 5mm off of the back of the bottom of the drawer. The next thing I got to do is put a top on it. And currently it's too tall. If I on there and slide the drawer in, it's too tall and hits the underside of the top of the bed. So what I'm going to do is take that value off all the way around, then I will have the space to plonk the worktop on top of it. The particularly observant among you might have noticed that I've switched from using a hex-headed M6 bolt to these furniture bolts with the Allen head in them, and the reason I've done that, there's a much greater surface area on the Allen key ones, and considering the depth of the head on the hex is too great and I can't put a washer underneath, well, this is just a big bonus because I don't need the washer because it's a larger surface area and it's shallower also. I've still got to trim this to size, but just to prove the concept, this should slide all the way under. Yeah, that's really good. I'm very happy with that. I don't quite know what's happened here. It's about 15mm too short. I'm gonna have to get creative, maybe use a bit of oak to front it or something. Just double check that we're flush. I think I'm finally ready to cut out the top for the hob sink unit. I've popped some tape over the top so that I can clearly see my lines, and I've measured the top of this unit here. It's 530 by 325. 530 by 325. And I want it sunk into the top. I've measured the overhang, which is 1/2 inch all the way around, which is very convenient, which means that I can measure the full size and then measure in 1/2 inch beyond that, which is going to be really easy. So I decided I want it 2 inches in from the front edge and 1 inch in from the right hand edge. And then we want to be 1/2 inch further in again. So that's 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2. Before I use the router, I just want to make sure I haven't completely ballsed up and check that this will sit down on here. That will drop in. Oh, yes it is. Oh, that's spot on. Well, it's a bit wide really, because look at this leeway I've got here and here. Front to back, it's pretty good. But left to right, I don't want to be taking out 9mm because it will be way too wide. Okay, change of plan. Because of the play I've got in this, if I use the rebate bit, then the opening is going to be A, quite a lot too large, and B, uneven. So because there's more play left to right than there is front to back, it means that the gap will be wider left to right than it will be front to back, and I don't like that. So I've gone and picked out a 1/2 inch straight cutting router bit, which means that if I use my plunge base on my palm router with the track adapter, then I should be able to cut to my original 1/2 inch lines. Right then folks, I think here is just about where we're going to have to wrap this video up, because I've been editing it and it's something like 45-50 minutes long and I'm only halfway through, and you know, I like to bring you a longer video, but I think 1.5 hour video is pushing it a little bit. But let me just show you where I'm up to. So as you will have just seen, I've got the unit routed and dropped into the top, and that's worked really nicely. I'm very happy with it. And the next things to do are get everything plumbed in and wired in, and also to segment the cupboard, put a front on it, fix the error I made by cutting this too short, then there'll be a bunch of sanding, varnishing, and using it, I think. So that will all be in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in to this. It's probably my longest ever video. So if you've stuck all the way through, awesome, I really appreciate it. And I'll hope to see you in the next one. Remember to subscribe below if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you next time.